What's going on, everybody? Yes, it has been a long time. LHS family, welcome back to Holding Court here on the First Day Hoops Report YouTube channel. I am Chris Stevens, First Day Hoops Report founding editor and Holding Court host. Hopefully you all have had a great summer. I mean, summer does not officially end until September 22nd, so got about a month left of the summer season, but you kids, y'all go back to school not this Monday, but the Monday after. I don't know when they started having school start before Labor Day, because back in my day, yes, I'm going to sound old. Back in my day, we used to start school the Tuesday after Labor Day. I mean, we literally would not start school some days until September 7th or 8th, because that's how deep, it would go, on the first week, the last weekend of August, first weekend of September, would go to Labor Day weekend, of course. And then, of course, after that, we'd go to school. But now they got these kids starting the week before Labor Day. I'm not a fan. I believe these kids should enjoy the most of their summer that they can. I mean, granted, they get out around like the Friday after Memorial Day, which is cool. But I still think, this is just my personal opinion, school should always start the Tuesday after Labor Day. I don't care if it's public. I don't care if it's private. I don't care if it's VOTEC. I don't care if it's charter. Let these kids enjoy all the way until the first couple of days of September. That's my take on the matter. As you can see, I've come out firing, but if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and tap the notification bell so you can be notified of all the new First Day Hoops Report content that is coming, because, yes, it is coming, because basketball season is on the way. I mean, it never really stops, but I'll tell you why I was absent. I was absent this summer in a minute. But if you're returning to the channel, I'm glad to welcome you all back. We're here for another year of basketball, high school and college basketball. This will be the 6th year for First State Hoops Report. I'll tell you why that's important a little later on in the show. But just let you guys know, first and foremost, where has Chris Stevens of First State Hoops Report been? Work, basically. If you guys have not been following me, I've been elevated, kind of, sort of. My original title with HBCUScores.com was contributing writer. Now, whenever, our social media team puts something out, it is HBCU Sports Reporter, Chris Stevens. So, yes, technically, I'm back in journalism full time, covering Black college sports of all manners. I literally just did an investigative piece on Virginia State women's lacrosse that literally is still an ongoing piece of business. So, I've been super busy this summer, covering Black college sports from all angles. And honestly, that was my dream job originally when I graduated from the Delaware State University many moons ago. Shouts out to the Hornets. The football team is actually going to be in Hawaii next weekend. I don't know how the season's going to go for the football team. I'll be honest with y'all. I'm scared, because this team went 1-10 last year, and that one win was against Virginia University of Lynchburg, who nobody has ever heard of. So I don't know what this Delaware State football season is going to bring, but we'll see how it goes. But yes, I covered Black college sports because I went to a Black college. I am a proud HBCU alum and advocate as well. So when the opportunity to work for HBCU Sports came around March of 2023, I jumped on it. And so yeah, I've been literally doing this as well as doing First Day Hoops Report. I'm a busy guy. And I also have my own personal YouTube channel, which you guys can check out. I will put the link to the description below. And that's that's more of like, that's not very, LHS community friendly. So, adults for you. Anyone else, beware. So I've been, building that channel up. I've been doing interviews with journalists and music fans and different folks of that nature, trying to build my own personal brand, as well as, continue to keep First Day Hoops Report at least somewhat solvent. And I know you guys are going to be excited to hear this, but I wish I had a drum set, because I would definitely do the drum roll right about now. But my long national automotive list nightmare is over. I picked up a car a couple of weeks ago, finally, and I want to thank you guys who all contributed and just, kicked a little bit of coins my way when I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with the old car. But something new came up, something that was a little more manageable and reliable and easier to fix, honestly. I mean, because this is a Toyota that I got here. I mean, it's a Chevy badged. I got a 99 Chevy Prism. I did a review of my own car on my YouTube channel. Like I said, you can check that out in the description below. And you know, it's a Toyota. I mean, it's all Toyota. It's just badged by Chevy. So it's pretty much, you know, easy things that are easy to fix, things that are easy to maintain. So you guys will see me again this winter. But yes, that's why I wasn't here. I wasn't, you know, down at the field house like I wanted to be. I mean, have an official Crozier league because for some strange reason the PAL, you know, I mean, I don't know what happened with PAL and Crozier, but didn't happen. It actually happened out at you know, NBN Academy. Shouts out to Lonnie Wright and his new facility. I got to get out there at some point. And you know, they had like a little 1 weekend tournament, but it was actually supposed to be a 4-week league, and it just didn't happen. Then of course, you know, you have Czech Rock out of your league, and you know, Girls Run It that's going on right now. So I mean, it's not summer hoops is not over yet, but that's where I've been. You know, I've been working, you know, keeping a roof over my head, you know, getting some transportation finally, and just chilling, man. That's really what it boils down to. So now that you guys know where I am, you know where I've been, let's talk some basketball. I mean, it's been a very interesting summer. Thanks to the wonders of social media, I've been able to keep tabs on, you know, a lot of things that are going on, even though I have not been in a gym in a minute, and God, I miss it. But, you know, finding out, you know, that the transfer portal is still the transfer portal, despite DIA's best wishes, you know, it's just one of those things where you're not going to be able to control these kids and their parents. You can try, but you're only going to end up shoving them away. You're only going to end up having kids transfer out of state. And basketball in Delaware is not going to get better if we keep pushing kids away, good, bad, or average. Or good or average. I don't like saying there's bad basketball players, and people are going to get on me for that. Like, you need to call a spade. And most times I do. But at the same time, you know, I'm not in the business of crushing dreams, because what if somebody crushed my dream? You know what I'm saying? What if somebody told me I would never be a journalist? What if somebody never told me, you know, I could never run my own organization? What if somebody ever told me that I would never lose 125 pounds? That's a personal thing, but I'm very excited that, you know, I've been able to keep this weight off as long as I have. Whew, that's a whole nother story in itself. That's for the personal YouTube channel. But, you know, I'm not in the business of crushing people's dreams because I wouldn't want my dreams crushed. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, some kids, they're just not going to be Division I basketball players. And that's okay. But you can still be Division II. You can still be NAIA. You can still be Division III. You can be JUCO and work your way up to those other levels. So, yeah, I'm not going to say bad basketball players. I'm going to say good or average basketball players leaving the state because the powers that be just don't respect basketball the same way they do other sports. I've said this countless times, and I've experienced it up close. And I'm going to tell you about that, you know, once we get closer towards the end of this episode. But, you know, just noticing that one reason I wanted to wait a little while to do holding court was because I always keep in mind what the great Mr. Curtis Watkins, who writes for Rivals, would tell me. Because when I used to work at Claymont Library, Mr. Curtis used to live up by the library. He'd come in and we talk all the time, you know, during the summer. And he would say to me, young man, because he calls everybody, it doesn't matter if you are my age or if you're younger, like my guy Bruce Wayne or Cy, he calls everybody young man. Every young man he sees is young man. Young man, don't tell me about where anyone is until August 15th. And that, of course, is when, you know, the for better or worse, the transfer date ends, because that's when usually fall sports start. You know, so kids have to be where they are, you know, by August 15th. So now that we know that, I mean, we know a couple of things. I mean, we know that Latrell Wright and Kevin Coleman are over at Salesianum now. There are a couple of girls transfers that I'm still trying to work on getting confirmation for. I mean, if you guys know, you know, it's one of those if you know situations. So if you guys want to hit me up privately, you don't have to leave it in the comments, but of course you can email me or DM me on Instagram if you think we have the same intel, and, you know, we can touch base that way. So yeah, there are a couple of girls transfers that I'm trying to confirm, if you will. But I think what you'll see, because basketball season starts December 4th this year. So it's starting back in December, because the last couple years, remember, we started basketball season November 29th and November 30th, which I was absolutely jazzed about. Like, I like the idea of high school basketball being played in November. As you will see on my Instagram account, I got to shout out Nick Besa and Bryson Lane of Howard. Whenever I post something on First State Hoops Report about what DIA is doing, those two kids, they say the same thing. We just want more games. And I'm like, and I'm like, yo, I feel y'all, but I'm not in charge of that. I mean, if I were, you know, I mean, it's easy to say, you what you would do, it's easy for a a jockey, a horse jockey, to say what they would do if they were running the dog grooming business. But I'm a journalist, and I'm not gonna. I mean, I'll give the folks at DIA the benefit of the doubt in some respects. I'm gonna tell you why I won't in a minute. But high school basketball it's a winter sport basically. I mean, December, January, February, March, that's fine. But we do need an early season tournament, like a Thanksgiving weekend tournament somewhere for varsity. I mean, yeah, JV is nice, but we need a varsity tournament. Like, because those of us who are old enough to remember the Kappa Classic, I mean, because it used to rotate. It used to be at Wilmington High, used to be at Glasgow, used to be at Christiana, used to be at Newark. I think it was even at shucks, I want to say, I don't think it was at Penn. I want to say there was 1 year. It might have been at Sal's 1 year. I think the Kappa might have been at Sal's 1 year. I can't remember for sure, but I can tell you for sure that it used to be a rotation of Wilmington High, Glasgow, Christiana, and Newark all day long. Every other year, it seems like, for the Kappa Classic. And of course, that is from the Brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. And shouts out to those good gents. I'm not a member, but I know a lot of cool Kappas, so shouts out to them. If y'all want to bring that back, let me know. I mean, I know there's a Kappa chapter somewhere here in the city of Wilmington. If y'all want to bring back the Kappa Classic, I will show up. I will gladly show up. But yeah, starting high school ball in December is cool. So I mean, but yeah, I did like the idea of right after Thanksgiving. Yes, right into basketball season. Very much a good time. But of course, now that we've got the three division football format, and now they're not even going to be able to play at UD. Oh my God, I have so many thoughts about UD and their greed. That's, Lord, I might work them into this episode. But what I'm trying to say is that was a long way of saying we got a lot of things to figure out before December. But there's two important things that I want to impress upon you young people. Keep your bodies right and your grades high. Do that, and you will have a great basketball season. Because as I've said before on this particular channel, you can't forget the student part of student athlete. You got to get those grades, man. Because, I mean, the ball stops bouncing at some point. It does. And you have to be prepared for life after sports. I mean, I'm not just talking to basketball players. I'm talking football, baseball, lacrosse, field hockey, soccer, volleyball, track and field, cross country, swimming, wrestling. I just said wrestling, real country. Good Lord, have mercy. Whew. Sorry about that. But you get the picture. You're going to be a human being, a citizen of society longer than you're going to be an athlete. I mean, people like LeBron James that are still playing at a high level at 39 going on 40, it's a rare thing. It is very rare. So you have to be mindful that your body is going to let you know at some point that this ain't what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be, living a more sedentary lifestyle. So, be prepared for life after sports. And one way of doing that, make sure you get good grades so you can get somebody to pay at least half of your college money. You get a degree, get a job, a career that you love, make some money doing that, and coast and enjoy your life. That's how it's supposed to be. But yes, don't forget the student part of student athlete. And I know a lot of kids, are multiple sports. Like we'll see a lot of football players on the basketball court on the boys' side this year. We'll see a lot of girls that are playing volleyball that'll be on the basketball court in the winter as well. So, I mean, give all you got to whichever team you're playing for this fall. I mean, don't listen to me. I played high school football. I played varsity high school football 1 season, 4 games, give or take 10 or 15 minutes an entire season. And I was not very good. But that's why I'm sitting in front of y'all. I knew that my prospects for staying in sports were probably going to be something, a little more along the lines of either journalism. My mom actually thought I was going to be in sports medicine, but once I got to shouts out to the nurse tech program at Howard High, they made fun of me because I couldn't do the CPR on the dummy correctly. So I was like, yeah, this ain't for me. Because that rotation, if you're a Votech student or alum, you remember you had to go through a rotation 9th grade year, and they clowned me for the fact that I could not do the CPR on the dummy right. So I was like, forget it. I'll find something else to do. And that's how I kind of lucked into journalism, honestly. It's a fun story. I had to tell it all in detail. But yes, give it all you got to what you're doing in fall sports, but at the same time, keep those grades up. You don't want to be sitting on the sidelines in December and January. Because, you can come back in February, but then you've lost half the season or 75% of. It's going to be hard to come back from that. But yeah, is it too early for a top 10? Probably. I can probably give you a top 5 on the boys and girls side. And this is just Chris Stevens' opinion off of what I've been able to see, through different highlight reels, through word of mouth, through news and all of that. But I mean, girls top 5, I think a girls top 5 is the easiest of all because you got 4 right off the rip. You got Ursuline number 1, Caravel number 2, Sanford number 3. Saini number 4, because I heard Saini got a couple of girls coming in. Those are the transfers that I'm trying to confirm or deny, or confirm or unconfirm. And I think you can make a case for AI and Padua being tied at 5. And so that's it. And then of course after that, there's still a lot of good teams, down the line a little bit. You had Howard, who was a heartbeat away from the first Final Four in school history. You had Cape Henlopen, who still got some talent. You still have Smyrna, who has some talent. So on the girls' side, there's a lot to like about the girls' side of things coming up in 2024-25. And if everybody stays healthy, I hate to say it like this, but the girls are a little bit more serious about their grades than the guys are. They just are. So, we don't have to worry about too many academic issues on the girls' side. But, they're going to keep their grades up. And if they can stay healthy, it's going to be a very interesting. Ursuline's the favorite. There's no – why lie? Why sit here and, just fib and say, oh, wow, you could say that this team could win it. You could say this other team could win it. But they got Gigi Banks and Taylor Brown. And that's enough. That is enough. So, yes, Ursuline is my favorite as of right now, August 18th, 2024. Things could change. But, they looked great winning the championship in March, and I don't think there's any reason that they won't look great this year. Boys' side, same thing, really. Dover returns a lot. Yes, they lost Darrell Little and Denham Perkins to graduation. Shout out to those 2 young men who landed really nice college spots. Denham is going to play D2 at Wilmington University. Darrell Little is playing NAIA ball at Florida Memorial. Listen, if you can get away from Delaware and get down to South Beach, get an education and hoop, absolutely. Do it. Do it. Very much rooting for Darrell and Denham and everybody from that Dover team that graduated and moved on to bigger and better things. Still have Javion Dennis. They still have Chase Little. They still have Terrence Williams. That's still a really good team down there at Dover. A lot of those kids that you're going to see this year didn't get to play a lot. They still got Ice Norwood too. A lot of those kids that you didn't even get to see that much of last year, because Denham and Darrell were just so good. But you're going to see Chase. We know Javion can shoot the lights out. Terrence is a big fella, and so is Ice. So you put those 4 together, and Cameron Jackson Dixon, another kid that probably see a little more time this year. Yeah, that Dover team is going to be pretty solid again. Like, they have to be the favorite coming off the rip because they won it and they return a lot. They lost 2 first-team All-Staters. That's a tough thing for anybody to, come back from. But if anybody can do it, it's Steph Wilson's Dover squad. So we live in a new day now because Dover for the longest time just could not get over the hump. This was the first time Dover ever won a state championship, and they have the most state tournament appearances of any high school in the state of Delaware on the boys' side. I think it's like 52 or 53, something like that. They have not missed a state tournament very often. So for them to finally break through after 50-something appearances and like 5 or 6 championship game appearances, it's awesome. So that was a fun scene to watch last year. Dover's number 1. Who do I want to? I think it's between Saini or Sal's for number 2. Saini did lose Aiden Tobias and JT Wright to graduation. Those two young men are also playing in college. Shouts out to JT at Del Val and Aiden at Temple. Can't wait to see him at Temple, man. I think he's going to, with that Division I conditioning program, he's going to get even better than he was in high school. Sal's, of course, lost their big 4, Isaiah Henson, Kareem Thomas, Zach Swartout, and Justin Hines have all moved on to college and post high school endeavors. But you still got RJ Johnson. And as I mentioned at the outset, the 2 transfers that I could confirm were Latrell Wright and Kevin Coleman. Now, that is a plug-and-play backcourt that is going to be very, very good for Taylor Travis' squad. Kareem and Isaiah last year were very, very good. But, you knew they were going to graduate at some point. And Sal's never leaves the cupboard bare for long. And Latrell had a really good year at Conrad last year. You know, he led them to a state tournament win, for crying out loud. And Kev was pretty good last year for Tower Hill. That was just a young Tower Hill squad that, you know, didn't get a chance to really show their teeth until later on in the season. And I really hope that team can rebound, because them winning the state championship at 22 was one of the biggest shocks ever. But yeah, I mean, that backcourt is already set. They got Sal's has the Brown kids, the Brown brothers that are still, I mean, how many Browns is it, dog? I mean, it's like 15 of them, it seems like. And they all like 6'5" or 6'7". I mean, that family, their mom and dad must be tall as a mug. But yes, all that, you know, and of course, RJ, who has already committed to Rutgers on a football scholarship. When you have a kid who is a 6'5", 235, 240 pound defensive lineman, and for Delaware, that's huge. I mean, granted, you know, you can kind of say it's huge for college now, because if anything I've noticed in watching college football a lot of these days is that linebackers and D ends aren't as big as they used to be. Linebackers used to go about 250. D ends used to be like 275, 280. Now you got linebackers that are like 220, 230. And now you got the defensive ends that are like 235, 240. I guess, you know, as fast the game gets, the lighter you need to get. So, I mean, you see a lot more of those 300-pounders, you know, kind of sort of getting in the middle where they actually used to be a long time ago. Another, you know, me going off the rip again. But yeah, you have a kid like RJ who's a dominant defensive presence on the football field, but can still be as smooth and athletic on the basketball court, you know, to knock down threes, make reverse layups, and, you know, dunk in traffic like an athlete, a legitimate athlete. So Sal's, I think, is part of is one half of the number 2 team in the state. St. E's is another. They still have Kenny Hunter. They still have Steve Nixon, Caden Harris, Kyan Alexander. I mean, Mason Price. There's a lot to like about St. Elizabeth's as well. I mean, I had St. Elizabeth's winning the whole thing right up until they lost to Sal's in the Final Four. St. E's were my favorite all the way through. Like I said, it literally took them losing to Sal's in the Final Four for me to say, wow, St. E's isn't going to win it. But one thing about Mike Cassidy, his kids are going to rebound. So, I mean, I feel like Sal's, you know, yeah. I think Sanford, yeah, I like Sanford as well. They return a ton. I think the only kid they graduated was Jordan Spencer, I believe. I mean, because you still got Jaden Taylor, who is already getting like mad scholarships. I mean, not scholarships, scholarship offers, you know. And the offer thing, really quickly, I mean, I'm not going to take that away from the kids, but I mean, a lot of coaches, you know, they throw them out just kind of like, you know, keep kids on the line. But it's good to have them. I mean, it's good to have options. I mean, if you're an athlete, and I mean, and Jaden has absolutely earned them. I mean, the kid is 6'8", 6'9". He's probably the best traditional big from a defensive standpoint since his predecessor, Nana Njoku. So, you know, that's good. You know, they return to him. You know, they have the young guards in the backcourt. I mean, that's a team that probably, you know, they were close to beating Sal's last year. I was there. You know, that was when I was dealing with the flu from hell. I don't think it was COVID, because I mean, I'm good and vaccinated. I mean, it could have been, but I don't think it was. I think it was just like a common late winter cold. But I was there. I mean, I was like trying to stay awake, but Sal's and Sanford kept me awake, as did Howard and St. E later on that night. But man, you know, that Sanford team, and now that Khalid Hart is firmly entrenched as the guy. I mean, when you have a guy who played at the program, won 3 straight state championships, scored 2,000 points at Division I level, played some ball overseas professionally, and he's a Sanford guy, you know, he knows how this works. So I'd have to put Sanford up there. Who else? I think William Penn and Howard are probably, you know, up there as well. Cape Henlopen was very young last year. They returned some kids, as does Smyrna. Lake Forest still has Darius Miller, which is nice to have. Seaford's young guns. I was really surprised that Seaford was as good as they were last year after losing the family of the Matthews family to Middletown. And I got to think Middletown is still up there as well. So, yeah, I mean, these are some of the teams that you're going to look out for in the late winter months as we get closer to the season. Like I said, it all depends on if these kids stay healthy and they keep their grades up. If you do that, you're good to go. So, I've been talking for 25 minutes, and I didn't mean to talk that long, but sometimes as you've tuned into the channel before, I can go off on a tangent from time to time. That's just what I do. Excuse me. But I did want to talk about, because I put it on Facebook, First State Hoops Report's Instagram stories on Friday. I said to my content, to my photogs and my videographers, have you applied for your DIAA pass yet? And I'm telling you why that's important now, because this is going to be a year where, because people really freaked. Leadership at all levels at DIAA, at certain schools, absolutely freaked out and lost their, collective sugar honey iced tea about, media access. And I talked about this prior, but I do want to bring this story back up because I feel like it's important to the discussion. Andre Smith is one of the greatest guys in the world, one of the best human beings you could ever want to meet. He worked at the News Journal forever and a day. He's a media professional of great reputation, and he's just a great guy. And remember, and I said this before, and it still ticks me off that we got kicked off of press row at the state at the Bob for Governor Carney, soon to be Mayor Carney. And I get that, it's John Carney. He played point guard at St. Mark's and quarterback. I'm not going to take. He's an athlete who knows what these games are about. So I'm not going to say that, he can't have a seat. He's Governor Carney. But I just feel that it was done in poor taste to those of us who have covered basketball all season long. And like I said, my issue with the person in charge, and he knows it. I'm not a hard person to find. I'm not a hard person to contact. And you can be mad or you can be better. That's how I look at it. But, it feels like this gentleman just doesn't respect anybody that is isn't on what he feels to be a certain level. And as I've said before, it seems like people in the state have a real healthy dislike for basketball because you don't have these problems in football. You don't have these problems in baseball. You don't have these problems in soccer. You don't have these problems in volleyball. You don't have these problems in wrestling or lacrosse or cross country or swimming. You don't have these problems. You don't have you don't have people stonewalling access to basketball because they don't stonewalling access to those sports because they respect those sports, because they don't respect the people that the community of basketball that exists in Delaware as it does right now. And yes, I am talking about this. So if you have a problem with that, I don't care. I'm going to tell it like it is. And this goes for anybody that's listening. I don't have a problem with people, man. I'm not a hard person to find. I'm not a hard person to talk to, but I do command respect. And I think everyone in the Delaware basketball community should command respect as well, because our sport is just as valuable as football or baseball or anything else. And the fact that it's so helter-skelter, because I'm going to tell you why. I asked the photogs and videographers if they had applied for their passes yet, because I did. And a few other journalists did. And we got a return email, which was nice because we didn't get a return email last year. Let's just put that out there. None of us got I didn't get a return email last year, but a lot of journalists didn't get a return email last year either. But we got return emails this year. And apparently there's going to be a person that's going to be working, as a media person for DIAA. Cool. Fine. We have not heard from this person yet. And I know a lot of you guys and gals that shoot basketball, you also shoot football. And as of this recording, football starts in 11 days. So, and yes, a lot of the DIA passes are strictly for state tournament. It's always been that way. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it hasn't been. But I think what bothers me about leave the regular season up to the schools is, let me be honest with y'all for a second. Let me be abundantly clear. Some of these folks at the front gate and front doors of these schools are not nice people. They are not. Like, I can give you two examples. During the pandemic, the early days of the pandemic, like the 2021 season, I wanted to cover Conrad Caravel girls at Conrad because, that was probably going to be a state tournament game at some point, because I mean that was a real good team that Coach John Kaleja had back then. He had his daughters Stephanie and Julie and Nye Whittlesey on the team at the time. Caravel had, you know, India Johnston and, you know, girls like that. And I wanted to go cover that game. But back then during the pandemic, you had to check in with athletic directors. So I emailed Conrad's AD and said, hey, I'd like to come cover the game. You know, I'm vaccinated. I have masks. You know, this is my second year doing First State Hoops Report, but I freelanced for the News Journal before. And he's like, we're not letting anybody in. And I was like, okay, so if nobody's getting in, nobody's getting in. Fine. So imagine my surprise when Brad Myers of the News Journal tweeted from that game. And I lost it. You know, from a professional standpoint. And Sean Green, you know, of WDEL, he was in my corner firmly on that, and I greatly appreciate him for that. He got into it with the baseball coach on social media about that. And, you know, this dude was just like, you know, again, one of those not nice people. I mean, if he was as diligent about his team as he was about trying to keep me out of a game, he would have a state championship by now. That's another story for another day. Second example, I went to St. Elizabeth's, and I had I had a different bag than I do now. I have a book bag now, but back then I had sort of like a travel bag of sorts, you know, sort of like a baseball joint, because I was still, you know, trying to figure out how I was going to make this work and keep a day job at the same time. So I was just, you know, picking up stuff around the house to use to carry my cameras in. And this gentleman at the front door asked me, are you here to clean up? And yes, he meant like, was I a janitor? Never mind the media pads around my neck. Never mind the monopod and sticking out of my bag. Never mind the camera down in the bag. So there are some people at the doors of these high schools that are just generally not nice people. And I know this is not, you know, a media thing, but, you know, it's just these people just hate being at the front door of high school sports events, mostly high school basketball. I mean, you know, it probably applies to football too. So that's why I asked. I want you guys to be prepared, because you might get stonewalled by DIA. You may. I may get stonewalled by DIA for saying this, which is fine, because as much as I love doing this, you know, I have a day job. I mean, and that's why I say it's important for y'all to know I have never made a dime off of First State Hoops Report. I have not. I would like to, you know, I'd like to have advertisers, you know, advertise like, you know, our weekly honor roll, a game of the week, an athlete of the week, you know, advertise and, you know, sponsor this program. That would be great. But I've never made a dime off of First State Hoops Report. This has been all from the heart. And I'm not mad at that. I mean, I'm not mad at the, you know, the content creators who, you know, whose parents are like, who the parents go to and say, oh, how much for this video or how much for this picture. And as a journalist, you know, that's the thing that, you know, sticks in the crawl of a lot of, you know, old school journalists and legacy media, is that a lot of the content creators, people feel like, are there for the money. But at the same time, they're still working. Yes, you know, they can, I mean, you know, yeah, I mean, you know, selling, you know, high school basketball stuff is wrong. But if the parents are asking them to do it, you need to take it up with the parents. And you're not going to take it up with the parents, because the parents will just, you know, pull their kids off the team and, you know, send them to New Jersey, Pennsylvania, or the DMV, and that'll be that, because they want exposure for their kids. And that's the thing. I mean, granted, you know what, I consider what I do journalism. Like, I don't take money for the videos and the pictures that I take. You know, it's highlight reel, you know, news information, as you hear me doing the narration of the highlights every time I post a video on YouTube. So, you know, I do it from a journalistic standpoint, but I'm not going to begrudge anybody who does it from the content creator, exposure, clout, you know, side hustle standpoint, because we all got to live. And like I said, if I did not have a job, First State Hoops Report would be incredibly tough for me to do. I've been able to keep a job for the entire 5-6 years I've been doing this, but I just want you guys to be prepared, because there's a lot of foolishness, you know, with respect to what's going on in Dover and how certain people at these high schools just genuinely don't respect media. And I talked about this when I did a interview with a music journalist on my personal YouTube channel, is that a lot of these people in positions of power at high schools and high school sports organizations, they look down on you if you're not attached to like a corporate media outlet. Like if you're doing this, independently, they feel like you don't matter. They feel like you're beneath the people that they feel like, they can deal with. And that's why I don't mind, saying what's on my mind about things, because I just can't, man. As much as I love doing this, I'm not going to sit here and let anybody disrespect me either. So I just had to get those things off of my chest proudly and let my content creators out there know that you guys should be prepared for a lot of shenanigans in 2024, 25, because there's supposed to be a media policy out due at the end of September. But how does that help the people that shoot football when football starts August 29th? And how does that help any of us it doesn't help me, because basketball starts for me December 4th, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that I could still pull up to a game. I mean, yeah, it would help me in the state tournament, but it doesn't matter when I pull up to a game January 13th or something and somebody just wants to say, oh, no, we're not letting you in, or, you got to pay $5. I'm going to tell you something. First time somebody says $5 to me, they're not going to like my response. And it's not that I wouldn't pay to come into a high school basketball game as a spectator. As a person without a camera, a person without a notepad, a person without a voice recorder. If I was just coming in as is right now, wearing my Delaware State shirt, and I'm wearing basketball shorts now, but I won't be wearing basketball shorts in January. But if I were to just come in wearing a Del State shirt and sweatpants or jeans, as a fan, I'll pay the $5. But as a media professional, a paid member of the Delaware Sports Writers and Broadcasters Association, you tell me I got to pay $5 to cover a game, and you're going to have a problem. I'm just telling you right now. So, there's going to be a misunderstanding. Make no mistake about it. So that's why it's bothering me that DIA is just shoving this off to the schools during the regular season, because what does that do for the people at the front door who have attitudes, who don't want to be there, who are just there, because, the principal or the school district made them be there. And then they could just be nasty to whoever they want to be nasty to. These are just some things that I want my content creators to just remember and think about as we get ready for the 2024-2025 season, because there's really like I said, there's no respect for basketball, and there's really no plan for, social media, outlets and content creators who are creating highlight reels and things for different kids. There's no plan for that, because they don't know how to plan for it. And those of us who are traditional journalists, we get lumped right in because, they don't know any better. They don't know the difference. Hopefully, if this, communications and marketing person, if they reach out and we can establish a good working relationship, perfect. But if not, then that it's still very much going to be a dumpster fire this year. Not just for me, not just for folks at, Delaware Live, 302 Sports, not just at WDEL, not just the News Journal, not just at Delaware State News, not just at Delmarva Sports Media. All of us are in for a bumpy ride, trying to cover the game that we love. But we'll see how it works. So I've talked too long. It is Sunday morning. I know y'all got stuff to do. I got stuff to do. I mean, I want to cook some stuff. I mean, I got a good chocolate chip cookie recipe that has been waiting on me for weeks. And now that it's cool enough to, restart the oven again, that's what I'm going to do. So thank you all for watching this edition of Hold the Court. Greatly appreciate your time as always. All the contact information and social media handles are in the description below. Website is down for the moment because I've had to do some, me and my webmaster are doing some house cleaning, but it should be up in time for basketball season. It'll probably be up before then, because there's a couple stories that I want to publish, before basketball season begins. So thank y'all for watching. Until next time we speak, y'all take care of yourselves and each other.